Picture this: you've carefully selected your favorite flowering plants, tended to them with love, watered them religiously, and yet, nothing. No buds, no blooms, just endless green foliage staring back at you mockingly. If this sounds frustratingly familiar, you're not alone. Thousands of gardeners face this exact challenge every growing season, often blaming themselves or assuming their plants are defective. The truth is, flowering is one of the most complex processes in the plant kingdom, and even the smallest overlooked factor can prevent your garden from reaching its full potential. What makes this particularly challenging is that the most common culprits behind bloomless plants aren't the obvious ones you'd expect. Sure, everyone knows plants need water and sunlight, but the real game changers are often hiding in plain sight. Today we're diving deep into 5 unexpected reasons why your plants might be holding back their flowers, along with proven solutions that will transform your garden from green and boring to vibrant and spectacular. The hidden light trap that's sabotaging your blooms. You know, when most gardeners think about light requirements, they focus on whether their plants are getting enough sunlight. But the real issue isn't just quantity, it's about understanding the intricate relationship between light quality, duration, and timing that actually triggers flowering hormones in plants. Many flowering plants require what botanists call photoperiodic triggers, which basically means they need specific combinations of light and darkness periods to initiate bloom production. Consider your location and, of course, the changing seasons. A spot that receives perfect morning sun in spring might be completely shaded by summer, all thanks to growing tree canopies or those shifting sun angles. Okay, so the solution really starts with becoming a bit of a light detective in your own garden. Take a full day and just observe how the light moves across your growing spaces, making note of the changes hour by hour. For those sun-loving bloomers like roses and cosmos, you want to make sure they're getting at least 6 hours of direct morning sunlight. This early light is especially rich in the blue spectrum, which, really promotes flowering. If natural light is a bit limited, it's a good idea to invest in full-spectrum LED grow lights. Place them about 12 to 24 inches above your plants and run them for 12 to 16 hours a day during the growing season. Now here's the watering paradox that confuses even experienced gardeners. Here's where things get, a bit counterintuitive. The watering schedule that keeps your plants alive and healthy might actually be exactly what's preventing them from blooming. Most gardeners water consistently and frequently, thinking they're providing optimal care. This phenomenon is especially pronounced in Mediterranean herbs like lavender and rosemary, drought-tolerant perennials such as echinacea, and even some houseplants like holiday cacti. These plants evolved in environments where seasonal dry periods signaled the need to reproduce quickly before conditions became too harsh. When we eliminate this natural stress cycle through constant watering, we inadvertently tell the plant to focus on growing bigger rather than flowering. So, monitor your plants closely during this transition period, looking for slight wilting in the hottest part of the day as your cue to water deeply. This approach encourages deeper root development, while also triggering the hormonal changes that promote flower bud formation. The nutrient balancing act that honestly changes everything. Most gardeners assume that well-fed plants will naturally produce more flowers, leading them to apply general-purpose fertilizers regularly throughout the growing season. Unfortunately, this approach often backfires spectacularly. The culprit is typically too much nitrogen, which promotes lush, green leaf growth at the expense of flower production. When plants have access to abundant nitrogen, they prioritize building their vegetative structure, essentially becoming too comfortable to bother with the energy-intensive process of flowering. The phosphorus factor is equally critical but often misunderstood. While phosphorus does promote flowering, the timing and ratio matter enormously. Many soils actually have adequate phosphorus levels, but it becomes unavailable to plants when soil pH is either too high or too low. So, this means your plants might be sitting in phosphorus-rich soil while effectively starving for this crucial flowering nutrient. For most flowering plants, you'll want to switch to a low-nitrogen, high-phosphorus fertilizer. Just look for ratios like 5-10-10 or 2-8-4, about 6 weeks before your expected bloom time. Additionally, incorporating bone meal or rock phosphate into your soil in early spring provides slow-release phosphorus that becomes available exactly when your plants need it most for flower development. The temperature secret is that timing makes perfect. Temperature stress is one of the most overlooked factors in flower production, primarily because its effects aren't immediately visible like drought or nutrient deficiency. Every flowering plant has an optimal temperature range for bloom initiation, and even small deviations can delay or completely prevent flowering. What makes this particularly tricky is that the temperature requirements for flower bud formation often differ significantly from the temperatures needed for general plant growth. Many spring bloomers like tulips and daffodils require extended cold periods, also known as vernalization, to trigger flowering hormones, while heat-loving plants like tomatoes and peppers need consistently warm soil temperatures above 60 degrees Fahrenheit to set blooms. The timing element adds another layer of complexity. Cool season flowers like pansies and sweet peas perform best when night temperatures drop below 65 degrees Fahrenheit, but warm days above 75 degrees can cause them to stop flowering entirely. Creating microclimates in your garden becomes your most powerful tool for temperature management. Use mulch strategically to moderate soil temperatures, keeping roots cooler in summer and warmer in winter. For container plants, consider the thermal mass effect. Large containers buffer temperature swings better than small ones. Position heat-sensitive bloomers where they'll receive morning sun but afternoon shade during the hottest months. And don't forget that reflected heat from pavement, walls, and buildings can create surprisingly warm microclimates that stress plants beyond their flowering threshold. The age and stress factors that most gardeners never consider can have a big impact on your plant's ability to bloom, honestly. Plant maturity plays a fascinating role in flowering that extends far beyond simple age. Young plants often focus their energy on establishing strong root systems and vegetative growth, while plants that are too old may have declining vigor that affects flower production. However, the sweet spot for optimal blooming is influenced by factors like root space competition and even genetic expression that changes as plants mature. Transplant shock, overcrowding, and pot-bound conditions create stress that goes far beyond what's visible above ground. When plants are struggling with limited root space or competition for resources, they shift into survival mode. Basically, they start conserving energy for just the basic functions, rather than, the luxury of flower production. This is why you might notice that newly transplanted perennials often skip blooming their first year, or why that overcrowded flower bed that used to be spectacular gradually produces fewer and fewer blooms each season. The solution involves understanding each plant's natural life cycle and providing appropriate support at different stages. For perennials, this might mean dividing overcrowded clumps every 3 to 4 years, refreshing the soil with compost, and making sure there's adequate spacing for mature plant sizes. Container plants need regular repotting into fresh soil, while established garden beds benefit from annual soil amendments and strategic thinning. Pay attention to subtle signs of plant stress like yellowing lower leaves, reduced growth rate, or changes in leaf color, as these often precede flowering problems by several weeks. Transform your garden into a blooming paradise. Understanding these 5 unexpected factors puts you in control of your garden's flowering potential like never before. So, the key here is recognizing that successful flower production really requires a holistic approach where light, water, nutrients, temperature, and plant health all work together in harmony. Small adjustments in any of these areas can actually trigger some pretty dramatic improvements in both the quantity and quality of your blooms. Remember, gardening is really an ongoing learning process, and every growing season brings new opportunities to fine-tune your approach. Start by addressing the factor that seems most relevant to your current situation, then gradually incorporate the other elements as you become more comfortable with the concepts. So, are you ready to put these insights into action and transform your garden into the blooming paradise you've always envisioned? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest gardening secrets and solutions. And hey, share this guide with fellow gardeners who might be struggling with bloomless plants. Together, we can help everyone achieve the vibrant, flowering gardens they deserve. What unexpected flowering challenges have you discovered in your own garden? Drop a comment below and let's all learn from each other's experiences.